So we are now only 1 week away from the NFL draft. Next Thursday, we'll finally see who the Packers decide to take at number 23 with their first round selection. They could always decide to trade up or trade back as well. But one thing I want to touch on that I was thinking about earlier today, when you look at the position, I think that the different positions that could make sense when it comes to the Packers selecting in round one, I've said that I think defensive line should be the focus round one just because I think that's the area that needs the most help, specifically edge rusher, just because of the inconsistency we saw last season from that unit. But one guy that I was really thinking about earlier today is Tettero McMillan, wide receiver. And I think there's some mixed ideas about Tettero McMillan. I've seen some people have him as high as like top 5 out of all these prospects. Some have him a little lower, closer to the 20s. And so there's some differing opinions there with Tettero McMillan. And we know the Packers have not drafted a receiver in round one since 2002. And I don't necessarily expect them to change this year. But if they did for one guy, just when you look at Jordan Love and the Packers offense, I think the guy that would make the most sense for the Packers to go after in round one would be Tettero McMillan. He's 6'4", he's a bigger receiver, 6'4", close to 215 to 220 pounds. He's not the fastest guy, 4.53 40, but that is faster than Devontae Adams. So we know that 40 time isn't always the end-all be-all. Of course, you would prefer him to be faster, but he's still a really, really solid player. And here's why I think of all the receivers there in round one who the Packers could select. Now, maybe McMillan could be gone by 23 when the Packers pick. They could have to trade up if they really want to go after him. But when you look at Jordan Love, I think that when he's at his best, he's, playing super aggressive and he's willing to make throws that at times you may say maybe that wasn't the best decision. And I think later on last year when he stopped throwing a lot of those picks, he was not really letting it loose like he had earlier in the season. And on the one hand, it was good because he was throwing less interceptions. On the other hand, I think that when Jordan Love is playing free and not really thinking and not trying as hard to limit interceptions, he can be, incredibly effective. And of course, there's that balance between taking risks that you don't need to take consistently while also, trying to, just limit the amount of interceptions and turnovers that you're throwing. But I do think that Jordan Love is his best when he's aggressive. And that's why I think with his aggressive nature and his willingness to put it up there, I think getting a guy who is a big-bodied receiver who's really good when it comes to contested catches could be huge for this Packers offense. And Christian Watson was sort of that last year. I think that McMillan could be more effective than Watson in that area. And, of course, with Christian Watson's ACL injury, we don't exactly know when he's going to be back. He's on the final year of his rookie contract. And so looking ahead, the Packers could need to find a guy who maybe is a little bit more, a bigger type guy. And when you look at the Packers' current receiver room, Watson, was the tallest guy or is the tallest guy, even though he's injured. But outside of Watson at 6'4", you have Dobbs, 6'2", Jaden Reed, 5'11", Wicks, 6'1". And so without Watson, the Packers are missing that guy who can go up better than anyone else just because of the size. And that's one thing that McMillan really could bring. And I think when you combine that with Jordan Love's aggressiveness, McMillan is a guy where even if he's, not wide open like with separation, Love can still throw it up to him. And I was watching Chris Sims, who I like his analysis a lot, former NFL quarterback, but he said about McMillan that he has some of the best hands with 50-50 balls he's ever seen. And when it comes to contested catches, he had 18 last year. And Sims also said he's always open even when he's covered. And that's where I think you add that to Jordan Love's aggressive nature. Even if he's covered, Jordan Love can put it up there for him in the red zone. And I think when you combine that to having Jaden Reed and his speed, Romeo Dobbs, who's really great at getting open. And I think Dobbs is honestly a pretty solid contested catch guy, but he's not 6'4", so at times that can limit you. I just think it could be a perfect combination with the way that Jordan Love wants to play. And I think that we could sort of see Jordan Love unleashed even more just because when you have a guy who's 6'4" and is insanely good when it comes to contested catches, it allows you to be more aggressive because you have someone down there who can go up and beat anyone that they're on, at the catch point. So that's why I really like that idea. And so I have said that I don't think the Packers will draft a receiver round 1, and I would rather them take defensive linemen. But this morning, the more I thought about it, I think it could be pretty exciting if the Packers got McMillan. I don't know if he'll last till 23. As I said, there's differing opinions on when he's going to go. Chris Sims has him. He said he's not top 10 or 15 in his mind of all players, but he sees him more as a guy in the 20s. And so I think that if there's someone that should go for, it should be McMillan. Now, there's a few other receivers round 1 who are really could be solid, like Matthew Golden, who's shorter. He's like 5'11", but he's super quick, super fast, probably a better separator than McMillan. You have Ibuka as well, a few other guys like Burden and a couple other guys, but there's no one who's really the size and, physical athlete just when it comes to going up for catches that McMillan is. So I think that without Watson, they may need that guy, and he's someone who can, win on every area of the field. So those are sort of my thoughts. I would be curious to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you want more Packers draft content heading into next week, feel free to subscribe. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.